How to touch her during a hug so she craves you. Psychology tips. Touch has a memory. John Keats. Most men hug like acquaintances, flat, polite, instantly forgettable. A great hug does the opposite. It communicates presence, protection, and quiet desire without pushing past her comfort. The difference isn't force, it's attunement. Step in with intent, align heart to heart, and let your frame be steady rather than stiff. Breathe slowly so she feels you settle. Place one hand high on the mid-back or shoulder blade, never wandering, the other relaxed and supportive. Hold just long enough for her body to match your rhythm, then release a beat later than she expects. That small pause tells her, I'm here, and it lingers in the mind long after you're gone. Psychology tip: novelty plus safety creates magnetism. If you hug like every other guy, you blend into noise. If you ground her nervous system first, safety, and add a hint of restrained tension, novelty, you stand out. Keep your voice low and warm. Good to see you near the temple, not the ear, and avoid fidgeting. Finish with a gentle slide of the palm along the upper arm as you step back, eyes meeting hers for a second. It's respectful, contained, and memorable. This isn't a trick, it's craftsmanship. Make the hug about connection, not conquest. Read her cues, invite closeness, and let restraint do the talking. When she associates your embrace with calm strength and a spark of mystery, she'll find herself thinking about you long after the hug is over. Trick number 1, slow draw in. If you don't master this, every other move you make will feel clumsy. A woman can sense it instantly, the difference between a man who snatches her into a hug, like he's desperate to hold on to her, and the one who takes his time, pulling her in with steady calm, as if he already knows she belongs in his arms. When you rush, you scream neediness, you show fear, and nothing kills attraction faster than the scent of insecurity. But when you draw her in gradually, when every inch of space closes with patience and certainty, her body responds without permission. It softens, it opens, it leans. That's not an accident, that's biology responding to confidence. Women are hypersensitive to pacing, and that's why this is one of the most powerful psychology tips you'll ever hear. Fast movements tell her you're nervous. Slow movements tell her you're grounded. One signals weakness, the other radiates masculine control. And when you don't rush, when you guide her gently with the quiet command of your touch, you're not asking permission, you're leading. And that leadership is magnetic. I've felt it myself. One man yanked me so fast my body locked up like steel, while another placed his hand lightly on my arm and simply let me drift into him at my own pace. The first made me recoil. The second melted me until my breath slowed and my chest rested against his with a whisper that said yes. That's the power of restraint. Here's the rule: never yank, never lunge, guide. Your hand should be calm, your pressure steady, your breathing slower than you think it should be. Because when you slow the world down, she feels safe, and safety is the hidden door that unlocks craving. Understand this piece of love advice. Safety doesn't kill excitement, it fuels it. Because only when she feels protected will she allow herself to surrender. And when you control the pace, you control the memory, because she will replay that moment over and over later in her mind, faster and hotter each time. That's why dating tips often fail when they only talk about words. Words don't touch her, but the way you move does. Move slower, breathe deeper, hold your ground like you own the space around her, and she will feel it in her bones. That is the secret. Patience is dominance, and dominance is what keeps her craving more. Trick number 2, lower back claim. There's a reason women melt when a man's hand rests on the lower back during a hug. It doesn't read casual or friendly. It reads protective, present, and decisively masculine. Like you're saying, you're safe with me and you're mine at the same time. That line matters, and the feeling behind it matters more. The lower back is a vulnerable zone, unguarded, exposed, close to the hips, so a steady, confident hand taps ancient wiring in the best way. Don't hover, Don't poke. Be calm. Be deliberate. That is how you attract women without showmanship. In love psychology, subtle pressure communicates leadership and security. It tells her you guide without grabbing, you lead without rushing, you protect without posturing. You must align posture, breath, and tempo. Shoulders back, chin level, breathe slow, draw her in, place, pause, release. Most men avoid that space and stay high on the shoulders where everything feels polite and platonic. Nothing wrong with polite, but it won't move her. I've lived it. A man once hugged me with both arms high around my shoulders, safe but sexless. Another slid his hand down, firm on my lower back. My knees nearly buckled. I thought about it hours later. It wasn't obviously sexual, but it was charged, and that charge made me crave more. Don't confuse charge with grabby behavior. Be respectful. That is mature power. In love psychology, respect is the doorway. Confidence is the step inside. Use a simple rule. If you want her to feel your presence, guide her lower back. Not too low. Not groping, firm and calm. You must read context. Established rapport, warm eye contact, shared comfort. Don't do this with strangers or in settings where it's inappropriate. Be her steady compass, not a steering wheel. That is masculine containment, strength under control. For relationship goals that last, consistency beats theatrics. Clean grooming, grounded voice, relaxed stance. Combine that with the lower back claim and you attract women naturally. You honor love psychology authentically, and you move closer to real relationship goals. Don't overthink. Be precise. You must let your restraint speak louder than your hands. She won't forget it. Trick number 3, release delay. You must understand that this is not just about holding her, but about commanding presence. Most men ruin the moment by hugging like amateurs, patting the back, letting go too fast, signaling coldness, indifference, forgettability. Don't be that man. The modern Stoic knows timing is everything, just as the old Stoic taught that mastery begins with discipline. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior, said Confucius. When you let go too quickly, her body and mind register rejection. When you hold a beat longer, her senses ignite, her heart races, and her mind begins to wonder if you wanted more. That pause, that deliberate break in rhythm, is where desire is born. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who lived by Stoicism, wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself." That applies here. Very little is needed to leave her replaying the hug in her head. Just one heartbeat longer. That's the difference between being forgettable and unforgettable. I have seen it firsthand. One hug released too soon, vanished like smoke. Another hug held a moment longer, created a question that lingered for days. In modern life, where everyone is rushing, where touches are fleeting and time feels scarce, the man who can slow down, hold, and release with intention becomes magnetic. Don't grip, don't cling, don't smother. Control is the power. Hold, breathe, release. That is the law. Let her body feel the delay. Let her mind replay it again and again. The modern Stoic does not chase, he imprints. The old Stoic does not cling, he commands. To master this is to master attraction, because attraction is not noise, it's silence, pauses, rhythm. You must be decisive. You must lead. You must create mystery in a world that has forgotten mystery. That slight delay is not hesitation, it's dominance. It says, I am here, I feel you, I choose when. And in that moment, she feels chosen. She feels desired. She feels alive. Don't waste hugs. Don't let moments pass you by. Every embrace is an opportunity to create obsession. Be the man who understands timing. Be the man who lives stoicism in action, measured, calm, intentional. Remember, release delay is not weakness, it's mastery. And mastery is what separates men who are forgotten from men who are remembered. If this helped you master the power of timing, holding a heartbeat longer, then releasing with calm, tap, like, share it with a friend who'd benefit, and subscribe for more love psychology insights. Remember, don't grip, don't cling, don't smother. Lead with presence, always with consent and comfort in mind. Comment to remember. I hold a heartbeat longer and release calmly. Trick number 4, neck to cheek brush. Works because it whispers to instinct, not logic, and you must treat it like fine art, not a stunt. Don't rush, don't hover, don't perform. Be steady, be warm, be respectful. Here's the move and the mindset. Start with a grounded stance and a real hug, chest open, shoulders relaxed, one hand at mid back, never too low, the other higher for balance. That is control without pressure. As you draw her in, turn your head slightly so your cheek naturally aligns with hers. Don't aim, let proximity happen. Breathe slow and even. A calm exhale signals safety, not neediness. If her body softens, if her hands settle, if her head tilts toward you, green lights. If she stiffens or leans away, stop and reset. You must read cues or you fail the test before it starts. Now the brush, a light graze of cheek to cheek, or the faint warmth of your breath near the side of her neck. No nuzzling, no pecking, no linger longer than a heartbeat. Count 1 in your mind, then release a half step first, as if nothing unusual happened. The power is in contrast. Connection, spark, space. Make it feel accidental, yet unmistakable. Don't force it. Don't narrate it. Don't circle back for a replay. The goal is imprint, not escalation. Why it works. The neck is intimate and vulnerable, rich with nerve endings and memory. A gentle near touch there pairs safety with spark, which her body remembers long after the hug ends. Add polish, fresh breath, subtle cologne, clean fabric. Details matter because they frame the moment. Keep your eyes kind, your posture proud, your voice low and unhurried. That is composure, and composure is magnetic. Use these psychology tips to guide timing and pressure. Use these psychology tips to decode response, not to bypass consent. If you need a compass, follow this love advice. Create tension without trapping, closeness without crowding, heat without haste. And more love advice. Lead with presence, not performance. If you're trying to pull a trick, she'll feel it. For men who appreciate dating tips, remember, leave her a question, not an answer. End the hug first, smile, change the subject. The mystery breathes in the silence after. And for practical dating tips, keep the brush rare and place it in moments that deserve it. Reunions, goodbyes, small victories, so it anchors to meaning, not routine. Don't be the man who stays safe, not sexy. And don't be the man who is pushy and careless. Be the man who is intentional, observant, and light of touch. You must protect her comfort as fiercely as you pursue connection, non-negotiable. That is the discipline that separates charm from creepiness. Done right, she replays the warmth on her skin, the measured breath at her neck, the surprising hush afterward. She wonders why such a small brush felt so big. Done wrong, it's forgettable, or worse. Keep it simple, keep it soft, keep it rare, and walk away first so desire has room to follow. Trick number 5, silent hug energy. Most men kill the spark with noise. They rush to fill the air with throwaway lines. You smell nice, I missed you, or worse, a nervous joke that drains all tension. The second words come out, the electricity flickers and fades, but the man who hugs in silence, he makes her lose her footing. Silence forces her mind to race, to imagine, to wander through every possibility, and imagination always burns hotter than explanation. That is the secret weapon of love psychology. Women are not addicted to words, they are addicted to meaning. Every phrase, every tone, every pause is analyzed, replayed, and dissected. When you starve her of clues, when you don't explain yourself, you open the door for mystery, Uncertainty becomes fascination. Fascination turns into obsession. I remember one hug that left me reeling. He said nothing, no jokes, no compliments, just breathed slow and steady, chest rising with calm authority. My mind spiraled all day. Is he turned on? Does he want to kiss me? Why isn't he saying anything? That loop followed me like a song I couldn't turn off. Don't kill the charge. Don't explain. Don't rush to prove anything. Instead, be the man who holds steady, who lets silence become louder than words. Hug her with presence, not chatter. Breathe slow. Let her feel the rhythm of your calm. That is the kind of masculine restraint that attracts women at a primal level. It's not about saying something clever, it's about saying nothing at all and letting the moment roar. You must understand, the man who explains less often receives more. The man who allows silence to stretch becomes unforgettable. Women crave the puzzle, not the answer. If you want real relationship goals, give her space to dream about you long after the hug is over. Attract women not with noise, but with mystery. That is power. That is control. That is the art of silent hug energy. Trick number 6, the shoulder slide. Most men hug like statues, arms stiff, hands frozen, safe, forgettable. Don't be that man, be deliberate, because movement changes everything, and the subtle shoulder slide as you release is the kind of controlled signal that lingers in her nervous system without saying a word. Women crave contrast, and contrast is king. Stillness builds safety, movement creates tension, so you must let your hand glide slowly, lightly, intentionally across the top of her back or shoulder blade as you pull away, not as a grab, not as a grope, but as calibrated presence. That is leadership in microseconds, a modern Stoic move, grounded, calm, measured, because, as Marcus Aurelius put it, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. And in modern life cluttered by swipes, notifications, and rushed goodbyes, the man who isn't rushed wins. I remember a goodbye where his hand glided softly across my shoulder, nothing obvious, yet my breath caught, and hours later I still felt it. And that is the replay effect you're after. Respectful, restrained, unforgettable. Don't stay rigid, don't rush the exit, don't narrate the touch. Let silence carry weight. You must read the room. Only do this when she's leaning in, relaxed, smiling, and holding the hug for a beat. If she stiffens, leans away, or breaks eye contact, stop. Consent is attractive. Be the old Stoic about boundaries, the modern Stoic about timing, because Stoicism is not coldness, it's disciplined warmth. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly," and the same applies here. The slow slide signals intention without neediness, authority without pressure, desire without desperation. In a world of frantic energy, your calm becomes rare. Calm is contagious. Calm is magnetic. Calm is unforgettable. Let's bring that to everyday life. At the end of a date, after a shared laugh, during a doorway goodbye, hold steady, breathe, release. Then that gentle shoulder slide, half a second, no more. Then space, then eye contact, then a faint smile that says, I could have stayed, I chose to go, because restraint fuels craving. Repeat the rule from every angle so it sticks. Lead softly, move slowly, finish first. Lead softly, move slowly, finish first. Lead softly, move slowly, finish first. Be the old Stoic who honors her comfort. Be the modern Stoic who masters tempo. Practice Stoicism in your body language, precision, patience, poise. Don't overthink, execute. Don't overdo, refine. You must be the man who leaves her feeling safe, seen, and slightly breathless. That is how a simple hug becomes a memory she can't shake. If this opened your eyes, like the video, share it with a friend, and make sure to subscribe for more powerful psychology tips. Comment to remember, a gentle slide leaves a lasting spark. Trick number 7, contrast of firm and gentle. This is where most men either miss the mark or go too far. Women don't want a hug that feels like hugging thin air, nor do they want to be crushed like a soda can. All soft feels weak, and she feels no masculine presence. All force feels aggressive, and she feels unsafe. The sweet spot, the one that makes her crave you, is the deliberate blend of strength and tenderness, power wrapped in care. Feminine energy thrives only when it feels both safe and desired, and that's exactly what this balance communicates. When you put one firm arm around her back, you're not just holding her, you're protecting her, anchoring her, creating a container she can melt into. Then, when your other hand moves with subtle softness, sliding gently across her upper back or shoulder, you add intimacy, reassurance, and that whisper of affection that tells her you're not just strong, you're attentive. I felt the extremes, a limp hug that left me cold and disconnected, and a suffocating squeeze that made me want to break free. But the best, the unforgettable one, was the mix. One arm steady and grounding, the other hand gentle and moving with intention. My chest pressed into him before I realized it, and in that moment I wanted it to last. Not because of lust alone, but because of how deeply safe and feminine I felt in his presence. The rule is simple: mix your energies. Be strong without being harsh, be tender without being weak. That contrast is the spark that turns a hug into a memory, and that memory into an obsession. And here's where the psychology tips matter. Women's desire is often awakened by contrasts, by that tension between control and softness. That is why your hug must never be flat, predictable, or forgettable. You must imprint a sensation that lingers. Don't hug like a friend. Don't smother like a stranger. Hug like a man who knows her body and soul respond to polarity. This is not just love advice. It's the difference between being another guy in her past or the one she can't stop thinking about. So take these dating tips seriously. One arm steady, the other gentle, and let that powerful, unresolved contrast keep her craving more. Trick number 8, the teasing squeeze, is where ordinary hugs stop and unforgettable ones begin. Because while a standard hug is polite and forgettable, this one carries intention, power, and mystery, the kind of signal that lingers in her body long after you've let go. You add a playful squeeze, not crushing, not needy, but firm enough to be unmistakable, and it sends an electric message. This is not just friendly. This is presence. This is desire cloaked in subtlety, and she feels it before she can name it, which is exactly why it works. Because in love psychology, what is left unsaid often speaks the loudest, and when you leave her with a question instead of a conclusion, she will replay the moment in her mind, analyzing why you did it, wondering if it was a joke, if it was attraction, if it was the beginning of something more, and each replay makes it more addictive, which is the hidden genius of the move, because subtle disruptions are louder in memory than grand gestures. So don't overdo it. Don't be desperate. Don't be obvious, because mystery always outlasts explanation. And in the world of relationship goals, the man who knows how to control the smallest touch controls the rhythm of desire. Be sharp, be intentional, be the one who makes her crave you without needing words, because attraction is rarely about what you say, it's about how you make her feel in silence, in the pause, in that teasing squeeze that whispers confidence. That is how you attract women in a way that is unforgettable, because every woman has felt the difference between a safe hug and one charged with masculine presence, and the ones who master it are the men she obsesses over, the ones her body remembers. Don't think it's just a trick. It's a lesson in energy, timing, and restraint, because a man who can hold back just enough, who can signal interest without showing his whole hand, is the man who stands apart. As the poet Rumi said, the soul has been given its own ears to hear things the mind does not understand. And that is exactly what this squeeze does. It bypasses logic and speaks directly to her senses. So, take this psychology tip seriously. Your arms are not just arms, they are instruments of influence. And with one well-timed squeeze, you set yourself in her thoughts, you carve space in her memory, and you claim the role of the man who makes her feel something rare. Be bold but subtle, playful yet decisive, teasing yet grounded in strength, and you'll discover that sometimes the smallest moves carry the greatest power in love, attraction, and lasting connection. Trick number 9, break first restraint, the craving trigger. If you want a clear, modern, stoic way to do it right, here's the move. End the hug before you're tempted to linger, end it while it still feels warm, and end it with calm, certain composure, because control is the signal. Control is the story. Control is the memory she replays on the drive home. As James Allen put it, self-control is strength, right thought is mastery, calmness is power, and that is exactly what you are communicating when you release first. Don't clutch, don't overstay, don't act needy. Be the pace setter. You must guide the moment like a gentleman who reads the room, honors consent, and leaves space for desire to breathe. In modern life, blaring notifications, tight schedules, real responsibilities, less can be more, and the shortest hug at the right intensity can outlast an evening of small talk. End the hug first and you create a clean edge, a deliberate gap, a subtle question mark that invites her curiosity to lean forward. We desire what's slightly withheld, not what's dumped on us all at once. Give everything and it's pleasant, but it fades. Stop a second sooner and it lingers. That is the paradox of attraction and the quiet genius of restraint. As Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." Be brave enough to leave her wanting more, not because you're playing games, but because you're practicing Stoicism, choosing disciplined action over impulse. Old Stoic or modern Stoic, the principle is the same. Hold yourself, not her, as the thing you control. Don't yank away or go cold. Release with warmth, eye contact, a half smile that says you're fully present and fully centered. You must let your posture, breath, and timing do the talking. Short, crisp, intentional. She will notice the leadership. She will notice the steadiness. She will notice that you're not seeking validation, but offering presence. In the boardroom at the airport after a date, the rule holds: set the tempo, respect boundaries, leave room for the next note. Repeat the idea until it becomes instinct. End the hug first. End it clean. End it kind. End it confident. Let her wonder, not worry. Let her feel chosen, not chased. Then step back a half pace, meet her eyes, and transition smoothly. Coffee next time? Or text me when you're home safe. That micro restraint translates across modern Stoic living. In messages, reply a touch later, not to play hot and cold, but to live your life. In conversation, listen fully, speak deliberately. In decisions, prefer intention over impulse. Don't confuse scarcity with value. Your value isn't a performance. It's your stability. It's your boundaries. It's your ability to end well. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Apply that filter to every touch. If the moment is mutual, mirror it. If it isn't, step back with dignity. Let's build attraction. The grown man way, measured, ethical, attentive. You must remember, mastery is magnetic. Mastery is memorable. Mastery is irresistible. Practice the break first restraint until it's second nature. Carry yourself like an old Stoic with the clarity of a modern Stoic. This is Stoicism in motion, not theory in a book. End the hug first and let the space you create do the quiet work of drawing her closer. Take control of the moment. Like, share, and subscribe for more psychology-backed tips. Comment to commit. I set the pace, I end the hug first. Trick number 10, eye lock after release. Where most men fail without even realizing it, and that failure costs them the spark that could have made her crave more, because the moment you release a hug and instantly look down, check your phone, or mumble some filler word, the magic evaporates and she feels nothing. But the man who understands the depth of love psychology knows that the hug is not finished when the arms let go. The hug continues in the eyes, in the silence, in the way you command her attention without a single word. And this is where powerful psychology tips come alive, because when you hold her gaze for just one calm heartbeat, longer than feels safe, you are no longer ordinary. You are unforgettable. You are imprinting desire into her memory, making her body think the hug is still happening even though the embrace is gone, and that sensation is what keeps her thinking about you long after she walks away. Don't rush to kill the tension. Don't rob yourself of the afterglow. Don't let nervousness make you glance away. Be the man who owns that second, who looks directly into her soul with steady confidence, because, as Marcus Aurelius said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. And when she sees your eyes filled with certainty, calmness, and intent, her soul will dye itself with your presence. And that is not formality, that is desire. A hug without the eye contact is empty protocol, a gesture of politeness. But a hug paired with the deliberate gaze is a declaration. It is intimacy amplified. It is the silent language of attraction that no dating tips book can fully teach because it must be experienced to be believed. You must remember this. Eye contact is intimacy. Eye contact is electricity. Eye contact is the unspoken proof of your strength, and you must let her be the one to break it, because that 1 second where you linger becomes a story. She tells herself again and again, a reminder that you are not like other men. You are a man who knows the psychology of presence, who uses love advice not as tricks, but as tools to build irresistible tension. That is the secret, not a stare that feels like a challenge, but a calm, steady moment of pure attention, just long enough to leave her breathless, just long enough to burn your image into her mind. And when you master this, you don't just attract women, you create obsession, because every hug ends, but the memory of that eye lock stays, and that is why she will crave you again. Trick number 11, the lingering touch exit. And this is where most men fail without realizing it. The average guy ends a hug like cutting a rope. Quick, clean, arms drop, and everything is over before it even mattered. That is exactly why it's forgettable. A man who knows how to attract women doesn't let the connection vanish so abruptly. Instead, he leaves behind a trace, a whisper of his presence. When you let your hand slide softly across her arm, shoulder, or back as you step away, you create something far more powerful than just contact. You create memory. The body doesn't just register a hug, it stores sensation. Love psychology proves this. Touch that lingers activates the nervous system like an echo, replaying itself long after you've gone. It's not the grasp that she remembers, it's the unfinished line, the soft trail that feels like reluctance to let her go, and that stays imprinted like a secret message. Don't confuse this with groping, grabbing, or clutching. That is desperation. This is intention. You must be deliberate, gentle, and exact. That's how you turn an ordinary hug into something that follows her home, into her thoughts, into her bed. A lingering touch is like leaving a ghost of yourself on her skin, a phantom she will crave to feel again. As the old saying goes, we may forget what people said, but we never forget how they made us feel. Apply that wisdom here. Don't break clean, because clean breaks are for strangers, not for a man aiming for deep relationship goals. Be bold enough to linger, be subtle enough not to cross the line, and be wise enough to know that restraint is what makes desire burn hotter. This is not just love advice, it's one of the dating tips that separates the forgettable men from the unforgettable ones. Remember, your touch must say what your words cannot. I want you, but I respect you. I could let go, but I choose not to just yet. That balance between control and desire is what keeps her craving, and that is the art of making a simple hug into a weapon of attraction. Trick number 12, public hug frame control. It is not just about holding her in your arms, it is about holding your ground in the eyes of the world, because while a private hug can ignite sparks, a public hug defines how she and everyone else sees you. Most men fail here. They shrink, they look small, timid, and forgettable, and that is the opposite of masculine presence. Don't be that man. Be the one who owns the moment. As Marcus Aurelius once said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. When you hug her in public, you are not only embracing her, you are embracing your role as her protector, her chosen man, and the leader of your frame. This is not arrogance. This is Stoicism in action. The modern Stoic doesn't beg for approval. He demonstrates strength through calm, steady confidence. The old Stoic understood that self-mastery in private meant authority in public, and you must carry that truth into your relationships. Status matters. A public hug is a bold declaration. You are unapologetic about her, and you are unapologetic about yourself. That confidence sends a ripple through the crowd. Other women notice, other men respect it. Scarcity raises value, and when you display certainty, you remind her and everyone else that you are not common. Don't shrink your frame in public. That is the rule. Hug with the same calm power you would in private. Own the space. Own her presence. You must project that unwavering masculine energy so she feels chosen, secure, and proud. The stoicism of your stance is what imprints on her heart. In today's world, where distractions pull people in every direction, where false confidence is sold like cheap perfume, the rare man who stands firm, steady, and real becomes unforgettable. The modern Stoic man doesn't flinch under eyes watching him. He thrives. He knows a hug is not just skin touching skin, it is a symbol of his frame, his values, his strength. When she feels that calm dominance and others see it, your value rises beyond words. Don't let fear, self-doubt, or timid habits rob you of that power. Step forward with presence, hug her with conviction, command the moment, and you will command the way she craves you. Gentlemen, thanks for being here with me today. Here's your final, no-nonsense takeaway. Don't rush, don't cling, lead. That is the difference. You must let your frame speak before your hands do. Slow draw in, calm breath, steady eyes, and a respectful hand at the mid-back, never lower than her comfort, never tighter than her pull. Read her cues, match her pace, let silence do the talking. Hold a little mystery, leave a little space. That restraint is the imprint. Real masculine presence makes her feel safe, while attraction builds on its own. No pleading, no over-explaining. Remember, obsession isn't given, it's earned by timing, respect, and self-control. If she leans in, hold with confidence. If she hesitates, ease off with grace. Consent isn't a mood, it's your rule. Be the man who knows when to hold, when to release, and when to let the moment breathe. That is credibility. That is power. If this helped, tap like, drop your biggest insight in the comments, and subscribe so you don't miss the next lesson. Until then, stay grounded, stay sharp, and take care, my friend.